and welcome to, unbelievably, episode 88
already.
I know, of Real Voices of Happy Valley. In this episode, we talked to Leonie Nimmo, who got right off on the right foot, as far as I was concerned, by being a friend to my cat. And yours, Dave.
Mostly yours.
Yeah. Who sat on her knee and had to be removed because she was purring too loudly. But Leonie works with people as well, and especially the people of Palestine. And she's been involved in their struggle for over 20 years now, since she first went over there. She talks here about the Land Workers Alliance, where seeds are protected and then returned to Palestine so as to provide food security for now and the future. It's a very important and practical aspect of what she
there's
does.
only one seed bank in Palestine, she says. And people from seed banks in this country and presumably other parts of the world supporting them.
Yeah.
Because it's crucial to be able to feed people next year and the year after that and the year after that.
Absolutely. She also tries to raise funds by selling anything from fridge magnets to shawls, clothes, and is always looking for help with that.
Yes, and there are people out there in the valley who want to support Palestine. And they do a great job on, I think it's Saturdays in Hebden Bridge, Sunday afternoons in Todmorden. Leonie is after some practical help, of distributing and selling some of the goods to raise money to go back to Palestine to help support the seed bank.
So have a listen, and if you would like to contact Leonie to offer some help, we'll put links up on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and any messages that go onto our Real Voices of Happy Valley Facebook page, we will pass on to her. Here we go. Here we are in our living room with the cat on Leonie's knee, talking to Leonie Nimmo. You've had some twinning arrangements between you here and landowners in Palestine. Do you want to tell us about that and then go on to other things you've been involved in?
Sure. So, hi. I'm going to try and make sure this cat doesn't purr too loudly, so it will affect the audio on this recording. Yes, I'm Leonie. I have been involved in setting up a solidarity twinning project between projects in Palestine and projects in the UK, primarily land workers. And the UK organisation who's kind of progressing that we've been working under, it's called the Land Workers Alliance. They're part of an international food sovereignty movement, which is which has chapters around the world, and it's also got a chapter in Palestine. The Palestinian organisation that we've been working with is called the Union for Agricultural Work Committees. So through these two organisations, we've set up a twinning project, which has enabled, projects to twin. And there's now 5 twinned organisations, a couple of villages, a women's cooperative, Palestinian women's cooperative, and seed banks and seed libraries, and a seed bank to seed bank twinning project.
So what does that mean? Seed banks are where you can grow things from seed.
So they're quite different. The Palestinian project and the UK project is quite different. The Palestinian organisation has been protecting and developing and expanding, multiplying local varieties of Palestinian seeds. And I think they've got now about 70 different plants that they've been working on. So what they'll do is collect the seeds and then multiply them and then distribute them to Palestinian farmers.
Right.
And this is really, really kind of important and powerful stuff, because local seeds are locally adapted to local conditions, and it's I mean, they are an absolutely exemplary seed bank sort of organisation internationally. They've recently had their seeds put in Svalbard, which is a seed vault, I guess. It's like a different kind of seed bank to their seed bank, which is like a place where they refrigerate the seeds and keep them, preserve them, if you like, but in a very cold place.
Svalbard pretty much refrigerated anyway.
Yes, yeah. So there's a massive vault up there where they've got examples of seeds across the world.
Wow.
Lots of genetic diversity held up there. But recently, I think maybe within the last couple of years, the Palestine local seed bank sent some varieties up there. And so then they distribute seeds to local farmers, Palestinian farmers, and this is really important because it means that they can avoid getting the seeds that are coming through the Israeli supply chains, which might be seeds that are not very appropriate for their area, or they might be genetically modified, which they don't want. This developing local varieties of seeds is it's a very culturally significant act globally. People are very connected to their heritage, the heritage of their land, through the heritage of the seeds and the seeds that their ancestors have been developing over generations. Like I say, adapted to local conditions and stuff. So this amazing project in Palestine there's one of them. And then if you compare that to seed banks in the UK, there's like loads of different, very, very often very small scale seed banks where people will collect and share seeds help to multiply seeds at a very small scale. But the project which the Palestine local seed bank is twinned with is called the Exeter Seed Bank, and they're really amazing. They've got a very artistic response to what the conditions that the Palestinians are living under. So what they've been doing is running workshops with people where they make clay pots, and they put Palestinian seeds in clay pots, and they talk about the situation there for Palestinians, and tell people about the Palestine local seed bank, raise a bit of money. And then the difference between sort of having one there and then multiple seed banks over here, now Exeter is starting to kind of link up with more seed banks in the UK to talk about the work of the Palestine local seed bank and get the word out through those networks, those really grassroots networks which exist. And there's a sort of natural affinity between people globally who produce food for their local communities, who produce environment in a way that's environmentally sustainable, and with respect for the earth and each other. And I guess that's why this twinning project is so powerful, because you don't need language. There's a common language there around feeding people and around heritage and culture and all kinds of kind of different issues come in there. So it's been quite a sort of moving experience to see how these projects have developed. But just sort of on that, in July, I think it was right at the end of July, the Israeli military destroyed one of the seed multiplication units of the Palestine local seed bank. And this was pretty, an awful and very specific act of genocide, which is aimed at preventing people's future ability to eat. It's not taking their food away or blocking the food, but it's actually preventing them from growing their own food. But because this kind of solidarity structure had already been established, the Exeter Seed Bank was able to put the word out through the local seed banks in the UK, and they've raised a load of money to give to the seed bank to try and rebuild some of that operation.
That's fantastic. Because we just hear on the news, about sort of houses being demolished, people being killed, which is genocidal anyway. But it's great to hear that people are doing more than just waving Palestine flag. Well, not criticise anyone who waves Palestine flags on a sort of Saturday or Sunday afternoon, but there's an awful lot more going on which is helping keep people alive.
Yeah, and more that can be done, and I think sometimes people. We had an event last week, and somebody stopped me in the street the next day because she recognised me from the night before and was like, "What can I do? What more can I do?" And people really want to find ways to show their solidarity in a kind of in a way that goes beyond the flag waving or the clicking on social media.
It's practical, isn't it? Food and growing seeds.
And from what you're saying, seeds are being distributed in Palestine, which is practically helping people feed themselves and their communities next year and the year after and the year after that.
Yeah. One of the projects is a village called Al Mugahir in the West Bank. They're not too far from Ramallah, I think, and they're twinned with Fresh and Green Vegetables, who are down in Devon, and I'm on the WhatsApp group for this twinning project. And so there's a guy called Hassan in the West Bank and a woman called Ruth in Devon, and there's a really powerful exchange of messages of solidarity, talk of growing food, explaining about the horrors of the situation that are happening there, sort of all kind of jumbled up in this, and also some information coming out of Gaza, which Hassan has been receiving, which we probably wouldn't be sort of in a position to receive otherwise. And I'm very kind of honoured to be. I'm a bit of the fly on the wall in that conversation. I'm not a land worker, but I sort of very much appreciate it. And yeah, it's interesting for that going from last night. The settlers came and they took all the boys that were under 12 in the village to like this week we're growing cucumbers, and it's a whole range of things. But they were having at one point. I would like to bring some other voices into this discussion, and I printed out a couple of things that from this exchange from Hassan, and at one point. So there's many differences for land workers in the UK and in Palestine, but something that seems to be quite common is that they need to find other ways of supplementing their income. In neither place is it a very lucrative exercise, and it's really kind of done out of so this is an exchange between Ruth and Hassan talking about. And Hassan saying Ruth that he's got other jobs, and then he said, "But for me, farming is the most important and meaningful. It's my true passion. We inherited it from our ancestors, and we see the land as something living, like a human being. I can't let a day go by without working, touching the soil and plants, guiding the workers and association members, and assigning the daily tasks. I feel truly happy when I'm among the trees, the crops, and the fruits." And about a month after that, the Israeli military came and destroyed 10,000 olive trees around that village. And it was absolutely devastating. And Hassan said, on the 25th of August, for the past 3 days they have been uprooting trees that are hundreds of years old. My father, who is 70 years old, has been standing at the window of our house, watching the toil of our ancestors and the hard work of many generations being destroyed under the bulldozers. This land, reclaimed with simple tools and with immense effort and sweat, is being torn out by the monster. The person, our contact at UAC, the Union of Agriculture Work Committee, sort of asked me if I could arrange some fundraising to raise money for this village, which was obviously a bit of a weight of responsibility. But again, because those solidarity structures were already in place with the farms that are twinned, one of the other farms set up a fundraiser, and it's raised like £3,000 already. So that was a month ago. So there's been this kind of this capacity to respond way beyond my personal capacity to respond. And that's been quite amazing. But what I did do was use that event last week to try and raise some money for this village. And
that was the film at the trades.
The film at the trades, yeah. So I had been, I made some kimchi and I repotted some cuttings and I got my children making cakes and I sort of went down there laden with all of this stuff, and at one point I sent a picture of these tiny little cuttings and I sort of sent them to Hassan and said, you know, as I'm touching this soil and raising this money for you, I'm thinking of you and your land. And he said, the distances between us are vast, but what unites us is even greater. Humanity, truth, justice, and the support of the oppressed people wherever they are, wherever they may be in the world. My family, the association, our friends and all our people truly value this, and we will never forget those who stand with us.
That's echoing things that our friend Ron Taylor used to say when he came back. He went to Palestine, mostly the West Bank, quite a lot. And he'd come back with the same sort of tales, the solidarity that they're shown, and the messages that Ron and people like yourself take really matter to people there. So they know they're not on their own.
Yeah.
So as I used to say to Ron, I say to you, well done, basically. That's fantastic. That's fantastic work. But you've been going. You first went to Palestine 20 odd years ago.
Yes, yeah, a lot longer ago than I care to articulate. So I first went in 2002, so 23 years ago. And they had just started. So the reason that I went was because I worked at Unicorn Grocery in Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a sort of ongoing debate with our customers about whether we should sell Israeli products. And so Unicorn Grocery is a cooperative, it's a workers' co-op, and 99.99% of the time, all of the decisions were taken by consensus. That I worked there for 2 years, and there was one occasion where we couldn't reach a consensus, and that was about boycotting Israeli goods.
Right.
And so after this meeting, I said to them, well, look, we have a fund for projects abroad. Give me some money, I'll go and do the olive harvest in the West Bank. I know that there's been a call out for internationals to go and do the olive harvest. And so I went, and it completely changed my life. I borrowed a video camera the night before I went, and I came back and edited a film, and it was a period that was quite extreme in terms of the military incursions into the Palestinian areas. They had just started to build the wall, which now snakes through the West Bank, encircling Palestinian towns and villages and cutting people off from their land, cutting people off from their water sources, their families. So when I came back, very few people had heard of the wall, so I sort of made a film and started to try and sort of get the word out about what was going on there. And I went a couple of years later. I only went for a few weeks on that occasion. I went a couple of years later for 6 months. But then I got arrested when I was there by the Israeli occupation forces. And then when I tried to get back in, I was prevented from getting back in. So that was the last time I was there. I haven't been back since. I've heard that maybe when you get a ban, you might be able to go back after 20 years, which of course at the time felt ridiculously long time, but maybe I could actually
quite a young
get
woman
back
at
in
the
now. So maybe I should give it a shot. But but in one way or another, I've tried to sort of act in solidarity with Palestine ever since, and I worked for quite a long time for a company that another workers' co-op that sold Palestinian products and organised tours to the West Bank. So I used to organise the West Bank and Israel. So we'd organise sort of specialist educational tours, like maybe for teachers or for medics or for land workers or like multi-faith tours or various sort of specialist tours, because there's a very strong kind of social, there's some very sophisticated social organisations in Palestine and in the peace, within the peace movement in Israel at that time. I know less about that, but I mean, like I say, the Union of Agricultural Work Committees, they're an absolutely fantastic organisation. There's Al-Haq is a legal organisation, all these incredible Palestinian organisations, and there's a lot of a lot of important work being done by them. So we were because of this rich social kind of fabric, that it meant that we could organise all of these different specialist tours and visit lots of organisations doing great things. So I spent a while doing that. And funnily enough, through the twinning project, I've come a bit full circle in that I'm now once again selling Palestinian handicrafts. Because one of the projects that is twinned is a women's co-op. They produce food products, but they also, as in lots of Palestine, you will have seen the embroidery, the Palestinian embroidery. So I got a parcel full of stuff from them fairly recently, which is now almost gone. So I'll be ordering some more. If anybody wants to put in some pre-orders for Christmas. I was
just about to say, so where and how do you sell these things?
Well, over the summer we sold them at some festivals, and some other people sold them at some festivals, and then locally I'm selling them at events. If I had a bit more capacity, and if some of the people who said to me, how can I help, would actually were willing to I'm going to contact them and see whether they would be willing to help me reach out to shops and see whether people would be willing to stock it, especially in the run up to Christmas. I mean, it's but I think what I'm going to do on a personal, in fact, having said that, I have now hopefully, in fact, I've got the confirmation through yesterday that the Land Workers Alliance have got an online shop, and they're going to be selling some of the stuff. So people will be able to order it from the Land Workers Alliance.
And they're easily found on the internet?
Yeah.
The Land Workers Alliance?
Land Workers Alliance. So I think I only put the order in yesterday, so they're not available yet, but it will be available online quite soon. But locally, I'm going to be saying to people, do you want to order a £50 bundle of Christmas presents? You can get some nice earrings or some fridge magnets or some embroidery, or I might offer that as a thing that we could do over Christmas. And if anybody wanted to help me in that endeavour, I'm definitely seeking assistance.
How would people contact you?
So maybe through the podcast Facebook page.
Yeah.
That might be the easiest, mightn't it? Yeah.
And then you might need to filter if there's, I guess, but yeah.
Okay, so if anybody wants to contact us through Real Voices of a Happy Valley on Facebook, we can pass the messages on. So what else do you want to mention?
The event at the Trades Club was really good last week. We showed a film called Censoring Palestine, which was actually made before the prescription of Palestine Action, but obviously it had a sort of additional weight to it given what's happened since. And it's about the sort of state repression of restriction in terms of like people talking out about Palestine and Israel. And we had a great film, and then afterwards we had a discussion with people that have been impacted by it, specifically people that have been arrested, local people. So there was 5 people on the stage. We heard from Mary, who I noticed was on one of your podcasts as well. So, yes. But it was, for me, it wasn't about let's listen to the experts. It was like, let's listen to our people in our community who are impacted by this, which felt like a really great thing to do, actually. So
you get the idea that experts are other people from somewhere else, but it's actually your peers who are being arrested and are going to Palestine and doing real things and sharing seeds and what have you.
Yeah, so it was really nice to get some of those people up on the stage and give them a platform and hear all of their various quirky stories and ways of interpreting things. So that was really good. But one of the other things that we managed to do on that night was link up with a friend of mine who's on the Gaza flotilla, the Samud flotilla, which is very rapidly now approaching Gaza. So I've been...
So tell us what the flotilla is.
Yes, sorry. Yeah. So the flotilla is about 50 boats now, I think, from all kinds of nationalities, all kinds of flags flying, and they are approaching Gaza with an aim to break the siege and open a humanitarian corridor. They are carrying food and baby milk and medicine. I mean, the volumes that they're carrying are almost kind of symbolic, I guess. The point is that they're trying to break the siege. And I heard Eva speak, and she said, people think this is just about a humanitarian exercise. It's not. This is an actual solidarity movement. This is a decolonisation movement. We are part of an international movement of millions strong who demand the decolonisation of Palestine. And I really liked that because I think it really situates what they're doing within the wider context. And it's not just about those 500 people on the boats that are risking their lives to try and get to Gaza. Very definitely risking their lives. People have been killed before on similar missions, gunned down by the Israeli occupation forces. And these people, as they approach Gaza, they don't know what's going to happen. So because of the size of it and the sort of scale of what they're attempting to do, even though the individual boats are absolutely tiny and looks like completely terrifying, it has kind of prompted a response from several governments, particularly Italy, where there's a huge Palestine solidarity movement, and dock workers actually threatening to stop all goods getting to Israel, to blockade Israel. Uprisings in 80 plus Italian towns, demanding an end to the genocide. And lots of Italian people on this flotilla. So the Italian government has now sent a frigate, apparently, and the Spanish government has also sent a ship. And I did read that the Turkish government has also sent a ship. So now there's international ships kind of surrounding this flotilla of tiny little boats with 4 or 5 people on them, many of them. Greta Thunberg's on one of the boats, so she's obviously got a bit more visibility, and she's, every time you read the flotilla on the BBC, it's like Greta's flotilla. It's like
you get the impression that it's just her.
You get the impression that she's on her own, sailing 50 boats on her own.
It's often the problem when celebrities are involved. You forget that there's hundreds and thousands of other people.
Millions of
but
people.
hopefully the involvement of these other international boats will help them.
It's heartening to hear that governments are getting involved.
Yeah,
but interesting that this,
the stuff they're taking, because presumably they could just be shot down by Israeli.
They have attacked it already.
Forces.
There was drone attacks in.
That's right.
Yeah. There was a drone attack in one of the places that they from the Israelis, in one of the places that they docked.
Yeah.
Has been attacked a couple of times.
Ron used to say that he was very reliant on the fact that people from Western Europe standing between the gunmen and the olive pickers would stop the settlers shooting. He'd say things like, "Never believed in God, but I was praying that was true." But he knows people who got shot, and unfortunately he wasn't shot himself.
I'd be really interested in exploring the possibility of getting a couple of crates of Gaza Cola up here on a regular basis. That it would involve more capacity than what I've got at the moment, but I am in touch with the people that are producing it. So if there was any sort of if anybody was to get in touch about distributing Gaza Cola, I would also be really like to hear from them.
Okay.
I think that's the only other thing that I wanted to say.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Leonie, for coming and talking to us. We will put some of those links into the explanation and the comments for this. We'll also put word around some of the people we know who are active in the flag waving bits that are going on, and seeing if we can help get more practical stuff going. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thanks.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
So there's a lot going on, and a lot of people don't fully understand what it is happening, why it's happening, what it's all about. But the results are stark. Leonie told us about a letter she'd received with a photograph and a poem attached to the photograph. The poem is written anonymously. It might have been by a journalist, it might have been by a villager. She doesn't know. So we'll just finish off with Leonie giving voice to that anonymous Palestinian in quite a harrowing minute or two.
And I got a picture of a photo. I got a photo through and this poem, which came from Hassan. He didn't write it, but it came from him. This is a photo, just a photo taken on an ordinary Palestinian morning, where ordinary means death. Empty flour sacks bearing the United Nations logo, that elegant emblem which once promised humanity, dignity and peace. But here, the sack holds no bread, only the remains of an entire family. The Abu Salah family. This sack was supposed to contain sustenance, a symbol of salvation. Instead it became a container of death, a box collecting what remains of bodies scattered in yet another massacre. What kind of contradiction is this? A sack labelled for life and inside it the end of life. Was the family hungry? Perhaps they died waiting for this flour to arrive. Maybe they saw the truck from afar, or the mother argued with a neighbour over which bakery to head to first, but the bombing came faster than the bread. This sack was a promise, and now it's a betrayal wrapped in red thread. What kind of humanity allows a person to be gathered into food sacks? What corruption has struck the world's conscience that humanity itself has become meaningless? The words United Nations are written in blue ink above the scent of fresh blood, on flesh that once trembled from hunger, then exploded from a shell. We can no longer distinguish between bread and a coffin, between life and death, between a promise of aid and the knife of a massacre. This scene requires no political analysis, no human rights report. It is an existential scream to the world. Save us from humanity, if this is what humanity means. Ladies and gentlemen, in Gaza, people do not merely die, they are ground to dust, and their bodies are stuffed into flour sacks, so that the bread and the shroud come from the same source. This is not a massacre, it is a philosophy of death, taught to the world each new morning of this open hell.